Let's get our prayers on. Okay.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we're going to start off by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushai,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Rakakadash.
Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders that are Sharada the Ruel. And salutations to you, Akim, out there in the highways and the byways, preaching his word in truth and in sincerity. To you, brothers, we say Shalom. This is the brother Shakal,
Brother Asha.
Mr. Brother Yaya.
out here from the GMS Chicago camp, coming at you with another lesson. And basically, what we're going to touch on today is going to be, based on the topic you better see on the screen, this thing of ours requires sacrifice. We have to deny ourselves, man. We can't be out here doing what we feel like, what we want to. We got to literally, our whole lives is dedicated towards Yahweh Bashmi Hawashai, putting away the old man, studying, bringing out this word, preaching in season, out of season, putting this flesh in subjection. Here it is. You want to do certain things, but you got to go out and preach. You got to be willing to do that. No matter how much you may want to do the other thing, or the flesh might want to do the other thing. Our whole lives. If a brother could get it, our life is hid with Yahweh Shai. This is all we eat, breathe, and sleep, man. This truth.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, and I'll start at verse 1. Colossians 3:1. If ye then be risen with Hamashiach, seek those things which are above, where Hamashiach sitteth on the right hand of Yahweh.
Right, those things that are above. How to increasing our faith. Increasing our patience. Increasing our knowledge in Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, man. If we want the kingdom, we need to do all that in order for us to get it. So we got to dedicate our lives to this. If we're over there indulging, or, overindulging in our flesh, how are we going to have time, or how are we going to, seek the things above? How are we going to do the things required in order for us to get the kingdom, to get salvation, to get to spiritual powers?
Verse 2. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Hamashiach in Yahweh.
Right. Hey, we're dead. What to this world?
That's
we're
right.
dead to our old self, man. That old man. And our life is hid in Yahweh Shai. Why? Because that's all we do. Doing the will and work of Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, preach His word. Constantly meditate on these scriptures, constantly talk about these scriptures, constantly, study, go out in the highways and the byways, do weekly videos for like this one, or when we're by ourselves, constantly living according to the scriptures. That's how our life is hid with Yahweh Shai, man. Because the people in this world, they look at that as a loss, like we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
Like we're there, like we're just hiding under a rock, but in reality, we're really just sacrificing, for the bigger picture, for eternity, man. Like the scriptures say, the things that now are temporal, but we look for the things that are eternal, man. So that's what this truth requires. And if we're not willing to do that, then sooner or later, hey, you're going to fall off, because you're going to get tired of, I'm tired of doing that. I always do this. And then I always, go out on Saturday, man, this Saturday, I'm going to take it off. Why can't we, or I'm tired of going out in the highways and the byways. Why do we, we have to understand that this is what's required, man. Hey, the scriptures talk about we are bought with a price. If a brother could get that, I think in the same verse it says we are not our own. We belong to the Lord. You know, how much more after, you know, what our Lord and Savior did on the cross, you know, how much more do we belong to him, man? So that means we got to do what he wants, man. We're not here to enjoy ourselves. We're not here to live it up. If we are, then we're not sacrificing. If we are, then we're not doing the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. We're no better than these people, because that's what these people are doing out in the world. You know, indulging in their flesh, you know, living their best life, forgetting about the Lord, not regarding the Lord. You know, and people like that are going to be destroyed, but those that are willing to sacrifice their lives, hey, those are the ones that are going to be saved, man. This is the reason why we're doing it. Go ahead.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 19. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh which is in you, which ye have of Yahweh, and ye are not your own?
We are not our own, man. We don't belong to ourselves. The Lord, especially if we're introduced with his truth, you know, we're not here if we're introduced to this truth, then we got to be all about this truth. We're not here to enjoy our lives. Hey, the scriptures talk about our souls are borrowed, and that the Most High could take it back whenever he wants. You see, we have to understand that, man. You know, and we have to dedicate our lives to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That's literally why we were created. That's literally why the Lord made the Israelites, to serve him. That's our purpose. If we don't serve him, we're going away from our purpose.
Right.
And we're useless, and the Lord will get rid of us. So hey, let's take that in consideration and sacrifice, you know, the things we got to sacrifice so we could please the Lord. You know, and we could be an Israelite indeed, like the scriptures say, man.
Okay.
You know, a part of sacrifice is the Sabbath. You might want to do some on the Sabbath, but the Sabbath requires us to what? You know, no sex, abstain from lust of the flesh.
Right.
Really just dedicate that Lord, that day to the Lord. You know, and some days are harder than others, but we got to be willing to be like, no, not today. Today's the Sabbath. You know, no, not today. Today's a high holy day. You know, no, not today. You know, I need some discipline on this. As much as the flesh wants to go contrary, man, because we're always gonna have that battle of the flesh against the spirit.
Right.
So, but we got to keep walking in the spirit, so we not fulfill the lust of the flesh, and we could, you know, be more willing to sacrifice, and you know, and whenever that battle comes, you know, we'll overcome it and actually sacrifice what we got to sacrifice instead of, you know. Now sometimes we do fall, but hey, like the scriptures say, offend less. The majority of our life, you know, should be about sacrificing to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Yeah.
Verse 20. For ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify Yahweh in your body and in your spirit, which are Yahweh's.
Right, by walking according to his word, being an example of righteousness. The scriptures talk about us, we're a light, you know, showing our light, you know, no matter sacrificing popularity, you know, because this world looks down on men that walk according to the spirit, walk according to the scriptures.
Right.
You know, not caring what the fuck they say, sacrificing whatever, you know, whatever needs. That's what we have to do, man. You know, that's how we glorify Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. That's how we show what that good and perfect will is. And at the end of the day, the scriptures say the Most High is not unrighteous to forget our labor of love. There is a reward for this. So we're not. It's only for a moment. Soon the Lord is going to give us the glory and our heart's desire, and we're going to be able to indulge in those things righteously with balance. And we're really actually going to be satisfied and enjoy these things, man. So this is just for a moment. You know, it might feel, you know, tough right then and there, but you know, we got the Lord, man. We could pull through, man. You know, and at the end of the day, it's gonna be worth it, man. And just like Yahweh Shai, man, you know, Yahweh Shai said he roughly paraphrasing it, you know, seeing afar off the promise, man. That's what kept him going. So we gotta have the same mentality so we could keep going and not get in the spirit of, oh, I'm just wasting my time. You know, that's what we gotta constantly meditate in these scriptures. So like that, we could always have that and be always willing to sacrifice. Go ahead, y'all got some?
Yeah, get that Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom. Because like you're saying, you know what I mean? The Lord gave us a strict commandment, you know. Everything else is is irrelevant because we're gonna get the glory when we do what the Lord told us to do. Like you said, this is the Lord's show and his perfect will is gonna be done. So, you know, we gotta seek the kingdom because like you said, it's right around the corner. So why, you know, there's nothing in this, you know, this land is polluted. This is not our rest. This is not what we want. We want the righteousness to come, but we've got to do our part. And doing our part is being prophets, like you said, standing on our watch, seeking the Lord, being that sacrifice, so everybody could understand that, you know, this is real. Like you said, they think it's a joke. You know, they're willingly ignorant, thinking that, you know, ain't nothing gonna happen. But just grab that right quick.
This is Matthew 6 and you get 33.
Just to the point.
Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of Yahweh and his righteousness, and all these things should be added unto you.
Right. So like you were saying earlier when you first started, we was talking about Jake and them, you know, like trying to shine in this world. You know what I mean? And, you know, he told Baruch, don't worry about this world. Worry about the world to come. You know, cast off those mortal thoughts, right? Because we got other stuff coming. We're going to grab that, cast off those mortal thoughts in second Ezra. But nevertheless, you know, we got to make way for the kingdom. So we got to be prepared and do what we have to do, man. You know, our whole focus, our whole being is on the Lord coming back in his return. So we've got to do exactly what he commanded us to do. As his prophets, you know, the scripture saying, he that endure to the end shall be saved. So we got to suffer through this.
Well, and if there's certain things like, you know, taking much of our time, hey, we got to be willing to say, you know what, I got to cut this off. Or, I got to balance this out. And if I can't balance it, you know, I got to cut it off.
Right.
You know, we got to have that, you know, that's part of, you know, the sacrifice, man.
Right. And that's a part of them letting go of those mortal thoughts is too heavy for us. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, Jake, we do, you know, like you said, it's a fight, right? We do get consumed because we got to pay our bills. Debt collectors calling us. We got to render to Caesar's what Caesar's. But we know ultimately we're going to get the victory, right? This is a light affliction that we're going through. We'll grab that too. But you got that?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, even fucking, you know, certain jobs, you know? It might not be folly that's taking your time. It might be a job. You know, if it's taking too much time from the work of the Lord, hey, we have to be willing to be, as much as well as they want to pay us, be willing to be like, nah, you know, hey, this is good money, but it's getting in the way of the truth. You know, I'm gonna find something else. You know, hey, that's part of sacrificing, man.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely, yeah, right. You know, you got to get to, you're absolutely right. You know, you're absolutely right.
This is 2nd Ezra 14 and 14.
Started 13.
2nd Ezra 14 and 13. Now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. And
that's a part of the sacrifice, right? Getting ourselves ready for the return of Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, comforting the brothers who struggling, who need help. You know what I mean? It's part of not forsaking the assembly of the brotherhood. And it says, renounce corruption. You know what I mean? So like you said, Jake trying to go over here and do something that the Lord, you know, ain't with, dude, we stay focused. Like you're saying, if you about to do some other stuff that's going to take you out of the truth, you need to focus, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that's going to take you away from what your true objective is. Because all this stuff is, like you said, it's temporary, it's fleeting. As Elder Yaki always say, it's temporal evil world. You know, and eventually this world is going to end, and righteousness is going to reign. Go ahead.
Verse 14, let go from thee mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature.
So what is the burdens of man? Being entangled in this, like you said earlier, being entangled with the affairs of this life. You know, your woman got you running around so you can't do nothing. The kids got you running around so you can't do nothing. Take you all out of the truth. Oh, I want to go to the park. I want to do this. You know, when you got the truth, the work to do. So they trying to take you away from the truth. So you got to say, you got to put, you got to kick that to the curb. Nothing comes before you. How about Shemal Shai?
That's it. And the Lord is so merciful because He'll still give you time, you know, to be with your family and do whatever shit we want to do, you know, that we're into. You know, the thing is, just like you said, put Him first. Hey,
Right.
look, I know you want to hang, but I got to take care of this lesson first. You know, I'm gonna do it, and if we got time, then we could hang out. Whatever
Right.
time is left, then we could do that. But the Lord comes first, and some days are harder than others, but we got to be willing to do it every day, man. And
Right.
like I said, all of this is gonna count for something at the end of the day. So it's really just delayed gratification. So we're not wasting our time, man, as people like to make it seem. Soon, hey, we're gonna see the fruits of all this, man.
Right.
You know, like the scriptures talk about the husbandman waited for the earlier latter rain. You know, and it's the same thing with us. You know, farming and growing crops takes time.
That's right.
You're there tilling the ground, planting the seeds, watering it daily. You know, you don't see that shit. You know, night and day. It takes some herbs take months. Wait, but when you start seeing those flowers bud, those fruits, those vegetables, you're like, oh shit, you're starting to see how everything paid off, man.
Right.
Same thing with us. Soon we'll see how everything paid off. All we got to do is just endure, stay patient, and keep on sacrificing.
Yep.
Verse 15, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times.
Right. And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? We're in a constant state of expecting the Lord to come back, right? So our mind is fixated on Yahweh Shemal Shah returning. So everything else is irrelevant. You know what I mean? So like you said, if you know He's coming, you got to wait for Him. We got to be on our watch, because otherwise, we're not children of the dark, right? We're children of the light. So we tuned in. Everybody else is like in the days of Noah. They're not tuned in. But we have a different job, a different agenda, because we understand, through the fear of the Lord, we persuade many. We on our watch, man. We on our job. We don't want to be like the rest of these people condemned with this world. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
Verse 16, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter.
And that's what's about to happen in this place. Destruction for the wicked is salvation for the righteous. So if we're doing our part, like you said earlier, our labor and our work won't be in vain. We're the seeds that the Lord planted. And, like you said, right now, we're still being, we're budding, right? We're coming through the soil. We on the highways and byways now. Before we was under the ground, right? We were planted and the Lord poured the water on us. Now we're rising out of the ground. Now we're just waiting on the Lord to return. But the plant is bearing fruit. We sprouting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get entangled in these affairs, right?
Yeah. This is where you want to start 3?
Yeah.
This is 2 Timothy 2:3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier.
Yeah, hey, that's what. Hey, we gotta please him who chosen us to be a soldier, who called us into this, man. You know that's what. So we're not gonna get entangled in this other shit. You know, if we spend our time, we're just gonna go, hey, like Neo, in and out the Matrix, go in, boom, boom, do what we gotta do, you know, and go get back to work.
Right.
So we may please him that chosen us to be a soldier, man. You know, and there's a certain attitude, man. We gotta have towards our family, towards our loved ones, you know, and to let them know, like, hey, you know, sometimes you gotta catch yourself, like, damn, I'm getting too comfortable. Or, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm not gonna see my son for this many days because you know I'm starting to feel that attachment. Fuck that. You know, we gotta think like that. You know, we gotta have that spirit because that is soon. Hey, that as soon as that attachment comes, it's gonna be a lot harder to let go, man. You know, and us knowing this requires sacrifice, we having that mentality will help us out, man. It'll make
Right.
everything, you know, much smoother, much easier. You know, and the Lord will see that we're serious, man, because He sees that even though our flesh wants to do this, we're denying that. You know, we're disciplining ourselves and we're doing what pleases the Lord, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because we understand this is not our place of rest, man. This place is polluted. Who wants to be in this wicked kingdom, ruled by alphabet lifestyle and
Man,
all this other stuff going on? Woo.
man,
AI about to take over. You don't know what's about to happen to these people. They all zombies now anyway.
man. Can you get Romans 12? Start at 1. You know, a soldier he's set on the mission. He's not letting anything distract him
Fact.
from the goal. And that's how we have to look at this, man. Not let anything distract us from the goal. Do
Yeah.
everything that's required to get the mission accomplished. And that's a daily thing, man.
Yeah.
This is Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service.
Right. That's her reasonable service, man. Present our bodies as a living sacrifice. Hey,
Right.
sometimes, also going into helping out brethren, sacrificing money for brethren, sacrificing time for brethren, giving brothers rides, even though it puts you out your way. You know, all that, it's all part of it, man. You know, that's how we have to move. That's how, you know, sometimes for example, here in GMS, Chicago, we have class. Sometimes brothers have to go to work and then they have to go to class. That's a sacrifice. Hey, brothers be tired, you know, like, you know, damn, I gotta go to class after this. You know, you don't think we want to go home and chill, relax, fucking lay down and shit,
Right.
you
Right.
know? But no, we got to be willing to sacrifice, man. We got to be willing to say, fuck it. I'm
Yeah.
tired and all that, but no, I have to do this, man.
And that's a part of being a soldier, right? Exactly what
Mm-hmm.
you said. You know, as a soldier, you are a living sacrifice. You know what I mean? As a soldier, you are taking care of your brothers. As a soldier, you're putting the priority of war over pleasure. That's what being
Yeah.
a soldier is all about. We at war. This ain't peacetime. We're warring against the spirit, against those principalities in high place. So we've got to
Mm-hmm.
be on guard. We've got to be watching, and we have to be strategic in how we operate. We got to be wise, moving around. So if you out here partying, BSing, you're gonna get caught off guard and might get taken out. You got to be focused,
Yep.
Uh,
Making sure things are done on time,
right?
making sure everything's flowing, you know, making sure we're fulfilling our lot, you know, whatever lot it is, our office, whatever office we have.
God,
You know, hey, the scriptures say, "Too much is given, much is required." So the higher you are, the more, you know, we got to sacrifice.
yeah,
verse
Go
2,
ahead.
Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh.
Yeah, so we got to transform our mind according to these scriptures, man.
Yeah.
You know, and prove, be that living proof of what is that good and acceptable will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. When people look at us, they're supposed to look at us like, man, something about this guy is just, I can't put my finger on it, but man, so holy, so righteous, you know? Like the way he moves, what he does, what he talks about. Damn, that's a man of the Lord. That's a man of God right there. You know, and that comes with denying ourselves. That comes with sacrificing. We cannot get in that spirit or have that, you know, that vibration or that look towards others if we're not sacrificing, if we're not moving according to the scriptures.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, damn, this man, every time he talks about what they call the Sabbath, and he never does anything in that day. You're like, he just sits there and reads and does videos. He doesn't, you know, go out. He doesn't, you know, fulfill his flesh. You know, that's, you know, that wow, that's a man of the Lord. That's sacrifice, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, hey, talking about the Sabbath, a bad bitch might hit you up, one that you've been wanting to on the Sabbath. You got to be willing to sacrifice that shit. Like, nah, baby, you can't do it today. You know?
Right. That's how it goes. The temptation always come when you, because the Lord gonna test you. You got to stand 10 toes down on this truth, man. That's real talk. That's real talk.
Yeah, these are real life situations that brothers be going through, man.
Yeah, man.
That's a part of putting on that new man.
Facts.
Yeah. Hey, putting on the new man, killing the old man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of sacrifice there, man. The old man used to want to do this and this. That motherfucker tries to kick here and there. You gotta tell that motherfucker no. Hey, what they say? Hey, when Diddy wants you to party, you gotta tell him no. Hey, that flesh wants you to do, you know, some other shit. You gotta tell the flesh no.
Right. Oh man, facts.
You know, you gotta keep, you know, be disciplined, man. And it's easier said than done, you know, but it's not impossible, Jay. Trusting how Bashimi Hashai, pray if we need to. You know, and let's get more in that spirit. So, you know, we could be walking more in the spirit. We could be, you know, fulfilling the will of the Lord and what He commanded us. You know, feeding His flocks, so on and so forth, to the best of our ability.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
When the Lord comes back, He's gonna know who sacrificed and who didn't, and who was fucking around, and who was more pleasing and doing what benefited them instead of, you know, the Lord.
Facts. Yeah.
You know, and if you're fucking around, He's gonna say, hey, He's gonna call you a slothful servant. Facts. He's gonna say, I never knew you. Right. You're no servant of mine. You were serving yourself.
Yeah.
But we could finish with that Jeremiah, unless brother had something else.
I was gonna get that. You know what I mean? Looking back is not fit for the kingdom. You know what I mean? That I was at. No, I was at Luke 9:62. I think you know, you take your hand off the plow or something like that. I might be mixing up two scriptures. You know.
No, it's right there.
Yeah.
This is Luke 9:62. You can get straight to the point.
Yeah, that's fine.
Luke 9:62. And Yahweh said unto him, no man having put his hands to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh.
So right, you know, when you get focused or you sacrifice, you gotta stay on point. You gotta mortify the deeds of the flesh like you're going into. You gotta have stern discipline. You know, you slip up one time and go back into the world, you can cancel Christmas. So that requires a ton of sacrifice. Because Jake wanted, you know, like you said, they want to go back to the old man, want to party and bullshit, and that's what got you in a whole hell of a lot of trouble. Then,
yeah,
you got to stay on. You got to stay moving pressing towards the mark to get out of this wicked kingdom.
Yeah,
God, you got to stay focused, man.
It
We're
says,
gonna have plenty of time to party in the kingdom.
Oh yeah.
F this place. This ain't no party. This is trash compared to what we have in store. It said, I have not seen what we have in store for us. These weak, useless bodies is trash. I'd rather party for eternity than to party this place for a second.
Yeah.
that Jeremiah.
Yeah.
This is Jeremiah 45, and we're gonna start at.
Where you want to start at, Shakal?
You can start at 2.
Jeremiah 45 and 2. Thus saith Yahweh, the power of Israel unto thee, O Baruch. Thou didst say, woe is me now, for Yahweh hath added grief to my sorrow. I fainted in my sighing, and I find no rest.
Right. So basically, Baruch was, in a sense, complaining, like, oh man, I'm going through all this, and but this is what the Lord had to say. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Thus shalt thou say unto him, the Lord saith thus, behold, that which I have built will I break down, and that which I have planted I will pluck up, even this whole land.
Right. So Baruch was basically more worried about himself, but the Lord's like, look, this is serious. I'm about to destroy this motherfucker, man. Hey, get out. In other words, get off that, man up. Stop worrying about yourself. What's coming is serious, right? Go ahead.
Verse 5. And seekest thou great things for thyself? Seek them not. For behold, I will bring evil upon all flesh, said Yahweh. But thy life will I give unto thee for a prey in all places whither thou goest.
Right. So he's basically saying, oh, you rather rest, you rather do this, you're worried because you can't do this, you can't do that. You're like, no, don't seek great things for yourself. I'm about to destroy this place, and in other words, I'm gonna go and send you forth to these places to prophesy, but I'm gonna keep you alive, right? But the point is that what? We're not here to please ourselves. We're not here to be living our best lives, seeking great things for ourselves. We're here to do the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. We gotta, plenty of us had things that we wanted to do or wanted to be in the world. But once we're in this truth, we gotta let all that shit go, man. We gotta be willing to sacrifice that, and us, being and continue in this, continue to sacrifice, man. Continue to stay in that spirit, and like always remember, like, no, I'm not here to please myself. I'm here to please the Lord. I'm bought with a price. I'm His servant, not my own. Yeah. Hey, sometimes, we have to deny opportunities that we know that could get us in a, man, they'll set us straight. Why? Because it'll get in the way of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. It'll get in the way of this truth. As good as it may seem, and as much as it will get us on top of our feet, we got to be willing to say, no, I can't. Why? Because we're not here to seek great things for ourselves. We're here to serve the Lord.
Facts.
Hey, there's brothers that denied opportunities that they could be famous and have a bunch of money now, simply because of this truth. We gotta have that mentality and keep that mentality, man. Hey, there's certain time. I remember this one job. They were paying me way more. They were gonna pay me way more than what I was already making at that time, but I simply denied it because it was gonna get away of this truth, man. And we gotta have that spirit, man. We gotta have that understanding. We're not here to seek great things for ourselves. We're not here to live our best life. We're here to sacrifice and do the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Soon, once the Lord comes back, then we're gonna enjoy the pleasures of our heart. And it's gonna be well balanced. It's gonna be true satisfaction. Because even here, if you please your flesh, you're not really satisfied, man.
No, it only
You know?
lasts 2 seconds.
In the kingdom, it's gonna be true satisfaction. We're really gonna enjoy things, man. But right now we have to sacrifice. So fuck. Seeking great things for ourselves. That will come later. Right now, we got to work. Right now, we're on a mission. And until that mission is fulfilled, we got to keep sacrificing.
Right. And that's what it's all about. He
That's
that
it.
endure to the end is going to be saved. We got to make it to the end.
Yeah.
And endure means suffering.
Yeah. Sacrificing ain't easy.
Facts.
But that's all I had.
That's it. Yes,
So yes, hopefully, Brian, we're edified. Something that was in our spirit. It's easier said than done, but it's not impossible, man. We got to look at the bigger picture. And understand that this requires sacrifice. And whenever these opportunities come or situations come, we gotta be willing to sacrifice so we could do the will of the Lord and not give in or do other things that are contrary, are giving ourselves, that aren't giving ourselves to Yahweh Bashim Haushai. So with that, we're gonna end it by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai Basham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Yeshua, their well. And salutations to Akim out in the highways and the byways, preaching his word in truth and in sincerity. To you, brothers, I say, Shalom.
Shalom. Kwam Yasharala. Salaki. And a Baba Ball.